This is David with Corel Trainer.
This is Cassie Green from Apparelist.
This is Gordon and Firemark from the Entertainment Law Update.
And you're listening to
Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by
Terry Combs RG, Regular Guy,
and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
the best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Prepare for the ride.
All right, welcome into the show. It is Friday, May 16th, 2025. I'm Terry Combs. You can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery from our Success Group and also American Print and Supply. And this week, Terry, we get to welcome back our good friend Jay Bassell with Branded Merch Network, and also another longtime friend and person that we're going to hopefully be seeing more of soon too in our news rotation. But Teresa Hagel with ASI is going to be joining us with Jay here to talk about an upcoming event that as the Two Regular Guys, we're really excited about this. The fact that we get to be a part of it is means the world to us. And it's called Why It Matters Live, the Sustainable Merch Summit that is happening on Tuesday, June 10th. And it is brought to you by the Branded Merch Network, ASI Apparelist. And we get to be the hosts, Terry. So really going to be a great event on June 10th. But we're not here to just promote the event, right? We want to talk to you guys about sustainability. And Terry, I believe this is a topic of discussion. Just we need to be having more and more. So look for more and more of that here at Two Regular Guys. And I think this is a great way to kick that off, Terry.
Absolutely. Looking forward to the event especially. And make sure you stay till the very end, though. Aaron will be talking about some ways to print more profits for his secret sauce at the end of the show today.
Yeah, looking forward to sharing that. And speaking of news, like I said, we're going to get Teresa into the rotation with us here. But this week, we mentioned Apparelist is part of the program coming up, but Cassie has also got the news for us here. So Terry, whenever you are ready, let's have Cassie share the latest headlines with us.
Yeah, Cassie is also a part of this event. So let's hear Cassie in the news.
Hey everybody, Cassie Green from Apparelist here to bring you the headlines on this wonderful Friday morning. Thanks for joining us. First headline I have for everybody. This is really exciting, you guys. Registration open for Printing United Expo 2025. So if you missed this announcement earlier this week, Printing United Alliance announces that registration is officially open for the expo, which will take place October 22nd through 24th at the Orange County Convention Center in Orlando, Florida. The industry's premier event experience returns with a nearly sold-out show floor, global product launches, forward-looking education, and endless opportunities for networking, including Women in Print Alliance and Student Day programming. Registration can be found online at printingunited.com. Alliance members receive VIP perks and access to the expo. Now, we are bringing back the Apparel Zone this year with a very fitting theme for the Orlando area, and I'm not going to let you know what that is. You'll just have to stay tuned on that, plus what we have planned for education in that area. Second headline, everybody. This was breaking news last week, but I wanted to bring it to your attention again in case you missed it. Group Stahl announces the acquisition of TKO Sales. So Group Stahl announces the 100% acquisition of TKO Sales, Inc., a heat transfer manufacturing business based in Pompano Beach, Florida, with additional facilities on the West Coast. This acquisition marks a step forward in Group Stahl's long-term vision of growing with intention, investing in innovation, and expanding its customers first model. The company shared that in a press release. The TKO name will join its other lineup of brands, including Stahl's Transfer Express, Hotronics, Stahl's, and Stahl's Fulfill Engine. Final headline I have for all of you regulators out there, SanMar recognized as a U.S. Best Managed Company. So SanMar announces that it has been selected as a 2025 U.S. Best Managed Company, sponsored by Deloitte Private and the Wall Street Journal. The program recognizes outstanding U.S. private companies. The 2025 designees are U.S. private companies that have demonstrated excellence in strategic planning and execution, a commitment to their people, as well as maintaining financial performance and governance. Now, according to Sanmar President and CEO Jeremy Lott, he says, "We are grateful to again be recognized by Deloitte and the Wall Street Journal as a U.S. best managed company. I'm proud to share with our team that their dedication to our customers and their communities has been acknowledged for the fourth time, earning us the recognition of Gold Standard." That's all I have for you this week, guys. Back to you, Aaron and Terry.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Cassie, for bringing us those news headlines. Wow. I got to get my words going here correctly. The news headlines. All right. Wow. So I'm excited about Printing United. I'm glad the registration is open. I think it's going to be a great show out there, and also some other cool stuff happening in the industry as well.
Yeah, I think we should spend the rest of the show guessing what the garment, the apparel zone is going to be themed.
Yeah. I feel like we needed to corner her and just, our usual. No, it's just friends here. You can tell us. It's fine.
Exactly. And Sanmar being a U.S. best managed company, that's I think that probably goes without saying. I don't know anybody that buys apparel that doesn't love working with Sanmar. So
yeah. Definitely. Very good. Very good. Very good. All right, Terry. Well, we have Ramona checking in bright and early. If you guys are in the live version of the show right now, make sure that you're checking in, telling us hello, and letting us know what's new and good with you. And we want you guys to be part of this conversation we are having today, Terry. I think we are excited to have Jay and Teresa with us. And wow, I can't wait to talk to them about this. But at the same time, I think this is a conversation we need to be having as an industry as a whole. So the more people that are in here commenting, sharing, asking questions, right? We might not have the answers, but we certainly, Jay and Teresa and Cassie and everybody are rounding up the people that do have the answers here. So I'm excited to have this conversation today, Terry.
Absolutely. But, Aaron, we can't start a show without a dad joke.
Okay. All right. Well, I've been thinking about this, Terry. The dad joke. Yes, we are. I don't know if it's too much, but I feel like we can say world famous dad jokes. I don't know if. So we're known for that, right? But I just want to ask you a favor, Terry. If you could just refrain from any dad jokes about cars, please.
Oh, well, why is that?
Well, because they're exhausting.
But we have a hybrid. We're only half exhausting.
Now, that was from my 14-year-old. So just want to make sure that we clear the air. We did have a backup, but I think we'll save that for a future show.
Yeah, that would definitely be a head shaker for Eric.
Yeah.
We'll probably go back and drop in the intro to that when this hits the archive.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's do some housekeeping, Terry, before we get our guests in here.
Yeah, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We still need your voices. We would love to have the regulators participate in the show intros. Go to osg.link/intro. Read a few sentences. Be a part of every show. Don't be left out. We are always looking for new guests. So if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2, the number 2, regular guys, to book a future episode, or email us at info@tworegularguys.com with your show ideas. If you are listening to the podcast version, which is where most of our listeners are, we'd appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. We would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcast, YouTube Podcast, wherever you do your podcast listening, we are there. And as Aaron said, if you're watching us live right now, please join in with your comments and your questions.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right, Terry. Well, let's get our guests in here. We got a lot of ground to cover and a short time to get there. I think that's how the song goes. But there we go. Let's welcome in. Hello. Welcome, Jay and Teresa. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Now, I want to dive right in because you guys have both been on the shows with us. And so we probably don't need introductions. We can they're going to get to know you here as we dive in. And so I want to go right into sustainability. I think in a lot of ways we've kind of thrown the term around as a buzzword. People, it's definitely talked about a lot more now, which I think is a good thing. But I think ultimately I'd love to know from you guys, why is this conversation so urgent for our industry right now? So Jay, I'm going to throw this to you first.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you. Well, thanks for having us. We are genuinely excited. So excited about this partnership. So excited about this event. And the fact that you two are hosting it. And I say you two, I mean you three, because Eric is a critical part of this. So thanks so much for having us today. You know, sustainability is a big buzzword and it seems to be evolving. But I'll just start with this. I'll just throw it right out there. We've run out of time to treat sustainability as a side project. And in full disclosure, I was a late arrival to this party. Now, luckily, the bus has not moved on. The train has not left the station. So our industry, and when I say our industry, that's a whole nother topic for another day. But let's say promo, print, and apparel. Let's be more inclusive and say print, promo, and apparel, promo, print, and apparel, promo peeps, apparel geeks, printing freaks, whatever you want to associate there. I got your back. But we're in an industry that is built on physical products. There is a physical, tangible product usually. And because of that, we often are in the hot seat. We're making things. So we can't ignore how those things are made. We can't ignore the resources and the chemicals that were used to make them. We can't ignore the labor that was used, where they came from, and where they end up, which is also another big piece of this sustainability puzzle, where things end up. So more buyers right now than ever are demanding better answers. More brands really do care and want to align their merch with their values. And if we, as an industry and as a business owner and as a sales rep, take it right down to it, if we can't provide great answers, or worse, our answers are shallow, hollow, vague, guess what? We lose complete relevance. We're going to be voted off the island. And I just think that this is a perfect time, which was why, and we'll get into why this idea matters more now than ever, because we've moved past the days of being just eco-friendly, although that still plays. There's still an important message there. Yep. We've moved past this idea of just being green and putting little arrows on our business cards and websites and whatnot. So we really need to move forward in a significant way and rebuild or regain the trust. And by doing this, we're actually going to stay more competitive, more relevant, and we'll be able to do business in a way that is in alignment with, and I can say this, I think with Terry can support me on this, because, you know, we're both a few days past 49 now, right, Terry?
Just a few days.
A few days. This is a reality for new buyers. This is what our kids care about. They care about people. They care about the planet. And they're okay with prosperity. They're okay with profit. But they want to make sure that the people and the planet are taken care of.
Yeah.
Triple bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. Well, Teresa, I love that you are here with us, because you bring us such a unique perspective compared to our normal kind of apparel folks, right? You get to see not only the apparel side, but the entire promo world and the work that you do. So how's this playing out in the promo world?
Well, I mean, I think I agree with everything that Jay has said so far.
Thank goodness.
We were worried.
I was worried.
Yeah. There's no feud or anything. But no, I mean, I think with promo, obviously has had that that the Brandville kind of reputation that we talk about. And if we're not listening to what people are saying and the complaints that they have, we're kind of burying our heads in the sand, and we're going to be left out of the conversation, and that's a problem. So I think there is sometimes that tendency to, not want to talk about supply chains or not want to talk about these issues. But if you do that, the conversations are still happening. You're just not going to be a part of it, and that's a problem. So I've been writing about sustainability in promo for about 3 years, since we launched Promo for the Planet, which you can reach at promofortheplanet.com. Very easy.
Which is an awesome resource. And if you're not paying attention, wake up. That's a killer website. Killer.
Thank you. But I mean, basically, that's our sustainability hub. I have, a whole board of advisory members from the industry that, give me great advice and help me out. But, one thing we're seeing is that, suppliers are increasingly publishing annual impact reports, sharing kind of data about the progress they're making. There's also a lot more sustainable promo out there. I think that there's more choices than there ever were. And it's not just, like you said, it's not just an eco-friendly product. It might be something that has like a give back attached to it, while they're like cleaning up the ocean, but also providing jobs to people in developing countries. So there's like these great stories that can be told through sustainable merch. But, we have to educate ourselves and figure out what those stories are and how to tell them. And, obviously, I think we still have a long way to go as an industry. There is a lot of greenwashing that's out there. Yeah. But as we always say, sustainability is a journey, and we're heading in the right direction. We just need to start taking more steps. So I think that it's being talked about more and more in the promo industry, but we need to kind of continue those conversations, elevate those conversations, and make sure that we're actually continuing to move in that direction.
All right. Well, I'm excited to get started talking about the upcoming summit, but can both of you tell from your vantage points, what are the biggest misconceptions that decorators and promo professionals still have about sustainable practices? Teresa, how about you?
So, I mean, there's a lot of them. I think that one thing, and we've kind of touched on this already, is just that sustainability only means eco-friendly. And of course, that is a component of sustainability. But, we like to break it down into that triple bottom line of people, planet, and profit. Or we talk about ESG, environmental, social, and governance. So those social aspects of sustainability, how we treat workers, how the community at large is affected by, what we're creating and where it's going at the end of life. All of that is just as important as whether, something is made of recycled materials. It's all kind of, we're all sort of interconnected, planet and people. It all kind of goes hand in hand. So I think that's one thing that people, we do kind of focus on the E part of ESG a lot more, but we really need to be more holistic about sustainability. Another thing I think is that I think sometimes people get daunted by sustainability and think that they have to have it all figured out and be perfect right away. And as I said before, sustainability is a journey. And I really think it's more important that you are authentic and transparent about that journey that you're on, and tell people when you're falling short, and that you haven't, gotten to this point yet, but this is what you're doing to try to get there. You don't have to do everything right all at once. So really, I think that the first step is just to kind of start measuring your progress, get a baseline of where you are, because if you don't know what your impact is now, you're never going to be able to measure it and show any kind of progress. So the most important step is just to kind of level set and figure out okay, this is how much energy we're using. This is how much water we're using. This is, where our products are going at the end of life, whatever you can do to measure it, that's important. And then you can start taking the steps to reduce, but it's not going to happen overnight. And every time you kind of get to the top of one hill, there's another hill, on the horizon that you have to kind of tackle next. And that's okay. That's part of the fun. I think another, another misconception is just the idea that, well, who cares where these products come from? And I think, especially in promo, I think there's been sort of that tendency to want to be a little close to the vest, and we don't want people to know who our suppliers are, and we don't want people to know where these things come from, that then they'll just kind of cut us out of the business. But I think that's not really the right way to look at things anymore. Having a traceable, transparent supply chain is important, just so people know where the items come from, for sustainability reasons, but it's also a business risk scenario. I mean, if you think about big brands whose logos end up in fast fashion dumping grounds, you see oh, this is a Calvin Klein jeans in that desert in Chile, where all just piles and piles of discarded clothing are. So that's a business risk factor there. Or apparel makers that are using cotton sourced from forced labor and don't realize it. So I mean, beyond just the sustainability, you're going to take reputational hits if you're not transparent about where your supply chain is. And then the last one I want to mention was just that a lot of times people think there's this trade-off between sustainability and quality. Sometimes they call that the sustainability, I think, liability. The idea that manufacturers are making quality trade-offs to make sustainability and make it cost effective. And maybe that was, there's some truth to that in the past, but there's so many more options now that are high quality, they're durable, but they also have that great give back or sustainable story to it. So I don't think that is an actual issue anymore, but I think there is still some lingering fears that like, oh, if I go with the sustainable choice, it's not going to be as good as the conventional choice.
Yeah. Well, Doug said, it seems to me everybody should be using 100% cotton if possible. And when I read that, I thought exactly what you said, Teresa, is where did that cotton come from? So anyway, that's how about you, Jay? What's your perspective?
Oh, yeah, there's a few big ones. I'm really glad that Teresa took the lead there because she has, like I said in the beginning, and like she said, she's got 3+ years into this, digging into this, peeling back the layers. And so it's great to hear some of those roadblocks, but also the progress since, this last 3-5 years. It's been a journey. For me, one of the big ones was it's too expensive. This is just too expensive. It's just not, I can't do it. It's going to cost me too much. Well, there could be some increased costs, but this isn't always true. A lot of the sustainable options that are available today are cost competitive. And especially when you start thinking about how in the lifetime value, this is going to increase the longevity of something. The better quality products last longer. So it creates more impressions. So, I mean, you can literally get to the advertising ROI on this. So too expensive. I don't think we can carry that excuse anymore. That bucket's got a few holes in it now. So also the thing that surprised me most in preparation for this was I used to think, nobody really cares. Like I was in a mindset of, okay, there's always like 5% on the fringes, the crunchy granola tree hugging freaks that are like, we've been rally cry, we've been saying this for 25 years. Where have y'all been? Yeah, you're right. I was on the sidelines. It was me you were yelling at, and I deserved it. But the reality is that's not true. People are asking for this.
Yeah.
And maybe not in the exact words that you thought, but they're asking for better merch. They're asking for results. They're asking for a better source. They want to know, like Teresa has said, the 3 Ps, the people, profit, and planet. They want to know all of this. And so sustainability becomes a part of that equation at every level, even if it's unspoken or the word sustainable isn't used. So that was a big learning curve for me, and I'm so glad that I've kind of crossed that road. And then for me also, again, I'm kind of trying to internalize this from where I was and where I'm going. I was over focused on the product. And so people say sometimes, and this is a roadblock, well, it's just about the products, right? We'll just make the products better. Well, it's not just about the products. It moves way past that. It's about your purpose. It's about your values. It's about your packaging. It's the printing methods that you use. It's about the chemicals that were used in the printing methods. It's the supplier relationships that you build. It's your marketing message internally and externally. It even helps attract new hires. So we're building businesses that we want to have a legacy. And so there are, somebody hopefully is 25 listening to this podcast and finds a company that they fall in love with because they've internalized this. Like this is part of their value system.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the products. And we've got to stop just thinking about sustainability in that way. It isn't just something on the shelf. It isn't just a box you check. Okay, to-do list, get sustainable. Click, done. I did it. So
Yeah.
I've learned, and I'm learning, this is a mindset. It's not a one and done. And that real impact is going to happen when these things get baked into the processes, how we source, how we create, how we print, the things that we're doing and saying that are transparent in our stories that have led us to this point. And I'm really glad that Teresa talked about that, because there are a lot of promo pros out there that have been kind of, like she said, close to the vest. They like pretend that they're the factory, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't get that, but I understand it because they're fearful of somebody coming and somehow taking their business away from them, like earning that account, taking that account or that sale away from them. But anyway, more transparency. So those are the 3 that I came up with. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
Hey Jay, didn't your daughter graduate from Northern Arizona University last weekend?
Well, as a matter of fact, Terry Combs, she did.
Well, isn't their school motto "Hug a tree"?
It is not hug a tree. That's their unofficial motto. Thank you very much. But
Well, speaking of hug a tree, I don't know if you guys noticed Cassie's shirt today. It did
did.
say hug a tree.
I did
So,
actually. I loved it.
as you were describing the
Yeah.
crunchy tree hugging type person, I'm like, that's Cassie, and we love her.
It's just
So.
It is, and she embraces it and wears it endearingly well.
Yeah. Well, I guess the other thing real quick before we get into the summit we want to dive into here is, as Teresa was talking, I actually just did a little quick Googling of that fast fashion dumping desert. Go to Google, search that, and then search the images. It's appalling, honestly. I mean,
It's appalling. Yeah.
I couldn't think of another way to put it. It just, and I felt a little bit of like, man, I'm a part of that. Like, how do we change that?
I
Well,
think
we
there
all
is some-
are, right? It's not.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I was gonna
nobody
say.
is blameless in this, and that's something we just have to kind of all own and move beyond.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have the percentage right, but I remember Cassie being on the show here in the past year and said something that shocked me, that 40% of landfill is apparel. I just had no idea of that. And then you start thinking about, the giveaway T-shirts that you get when, Arizona Cardinals game where I caught a T-shirt from this T-shirt gun that I have never put on, and by caught it, I mean it landed between my feet as I was carrying 2 beers down.
Oh, that's a good story. I expected a different story, but that's a good one. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think Jay mentioned that, right? Like, in the cost of things, we have to think about the brand impressions. Is it a throwaway that is going to end up on, you're only going to see the picture of the desert waste, or are you going to see somebody proudly wearing that thing for years to come, and your logo, your brand getting out there that many times? I think that's the cost that people miss, not the $5 shirt versus a something a little bit more. Anyhow, we can talk about this forever, and we've got a summit coming up where we're going to talk about this even deeper.
That's right.
So I know I had to kind of pump Terry's brakes there a little bit because he was really excited, as am I, to get right into this. But let's dive into this summit. Jay, I want you to start by telling us about this Why It Matters Sustainability Merch Summit. Like, what's the birthing event here? Maybe it's in the title. I don't know.
Yeah, could be. No, this is great. This is so exciting because the summit itself is an extension of some of the work that's been happening on the Branded Merch Network for over the last year already.
Okay.
So we don't have nearly the track record that Teresa or others have, but credit where credit is due. This goes back, and the roots are in the Why It Matters video series. So this was created and named by Jeff Solomon, our partner at the Branded Merch Network. And Jeff had this, just kind of stumbled into it, really, to be truthful. And he would tell you that it was important to him, but he was also on his journey. And he was at an event where a supplier was kind of complaining about all of this amazing work that they had done. And distributors just were like unaware. And by distributors, I mean distributors and decorators. So whether it's a wholesale blank manufacturer, in this case, it happened to be a promotional product supplier. It was a large supplier, and they were kind of just a little frustrated. They weren't really complaining. They were just frustrating and airing that out. And he was like, well, what can I do to help? As Jeff often does, because he has a huge heart.
Yep.
And it was about this need to share the information. And Jeff's like, well, we could do that. I could just do a quick interview with you, and we've got a great database, and people were hungry for this, and we need to teach them more. I need to learn more. So he took the lead. Nobody asked him to do it. Nobody's paying us to do these videos. It's just this opportunity. And so far, I think we're up to 20 different videos that are deeply honest, deeply revealing what's happening and why it matters. And the overarching theme is sustainability. And they're on you can go check those out. Stories usually are what spark, action. And so I'm really proud of those stories. And Jeff's done a fabulous job. And that was really the genesis. So from that, I saw a larger arch saying, in addition to promo, what about apparel? Or in addition to apparel, what about print? And of course, I was aware that ASI was working with the Printing United Alliance, and they were trying to also kind of figure out this convergence and stop treating each other like dysfunctional cousins at a family reunion, and embrace each other a little bit and say, hey, print, promo, and apparel, let's get together. Let's have a good time, So I saw that as the right time to ask ASI and the Apparelist, and of course, Two Regular Guys podcast, where we could band together, we could tighten this up a little bit and expand our reach, share our knowledge, and the live event is the extension of that. And so we're bringing these voices and a lot of these same people to this event. And it's been clear to me that this is a big deal. It's not just another boring webinar. This is truly a movement. This is the time to put the flag in the ground for large, important media companies, and those that are surrounding them have come together to have this rally cry to say, okay, enough's enough. None of us is perfect, and that's okay. But by gathering all of these voices and these values with these visionaries, what happens is that we move the needle, and I hate that expression, but we move forward.
Yeah.
And that really means something. So whether it's branded merch or print, promo, apparel, all of these industries can come together. And that's what this summit was about. It was also about pulling together to say what's working and why does this matter? And if we can keep telling that story, it's going to make the impact that we need to make for ourselves and that we can contribute together for the greater good. And as you'll learn in the summit, there is a huge financial upside to this if you do it right and do it well. And we're going to have guests that have the receipts. And by receipts, I mean 7-figure receipts. So I'm kind of excited about this.
Yeah. Wow. Very, very exciting stuff. And Terry, I think I just figured out why the Two Regular Guys got invited to the party, because when you have warring cousins, there's nothing like wings and beer to bring everybody together. And we're totally, there's no war. And it's actually, we're just trying to be hilarious and not so hilarious at the same time. All right. Thank you.
I love Teresa's. She's like, what? What just happened?
What did I sign up for? Who am I hanging out with? Who are these people?
Yeah, just rolling with it.
Yeah,
we did have our joint show one time. We had wings, and you guys had tacos, and
Yep.
And everybody lived in harmony. It was amazing.
And we all got along just well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Teresa, I want to hear from you on this real quick, but I need to say hello to my son who's in the chat, Crafty Scotty. So I have to get that prod in there. But Teresa, from your perspective, right, as the summits come together and all the work that you and Cassie and Jay have done to pull this together, what would you like to kind of add to the genesis of this story?
I actually started talking with Jay about this at the beginning of the year, I think at the PPAI show. And I was like, oh yeah, this sounds like a great idea, but I don't want to do all the work on it. So luckily Jay has been doing a lot of the organizing, which is very helpful to me, but I'm really excited to be a part of it. And one of the things I also wanted to highlight, and I think Jay already touched on this a little bit, but the summit really aligns perfectly with ASI's strategic partnership with Printing United Alliance and Apparelist. So it's been over the last, I guess, year or so where we've really been emphasizing that growing convergence between print, promo, and apparel. And Cassie and I have been working together closely during that whole time, on content sharing and joint projects, including the monthly Branding Together podcast that we started at the beginning of the year. So, collaborating on this sustainability focused summit was really kind of a no-brainer for me. It's like, obviously this is already what I've been doing, and this is already what I want to be doing, is bringing these voices together. So it makes perfect sense. And the other thing I wanted to add was just that last year I was able to go to the Sustainable Brands Conference out in San Diego. And one of the things they kind of emphasize, this is, beyond like our industry, this is, big brands like REI and Walmart and, just the sustainability people at these big brands, but they really mentioned how sustainability requires kind of collaboration between companies and ostensible, competitors. The only way you're going to actually affect real change is to work together kind of across, competitive lines. So in promo, where we already have like a kind of long track record of being collaborative and collegial and, everybody's friends, even if they're competitors, I think this is actually kind of like a perfect industry to collaborate on something like sustainability. And really that is the only way, nobody is just going to like figure it out on their own. It really requires collaboration. And I think we can do that. And I think that's what this summit is going to be all about.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, we don't. Cassie's name's come up a couple of times. Cassie with the Apparelists is a major planner and contributor to this event. Cassie's youngest son had a major presentation himself today that we could never ask Cassie to miss, but she is here in spirit with us. But Teresa, talk to us about some of the subject matter we're going to be covering.
Yeah, of course. So we have a bunch of panel discussions planned with some great experts. The panel that I'm moderating is about why transparency matters, and it's kind of all about honest storytelling, clear sourcing, and ethical choices, and how those build trust and business.
Nice.
And then Cassie's panel is on why certification matters, breaking down the standards. So she and her guests are going to be breaking down the labels, logos, and language behind sustainable merch, and how to use them with confidence. And I think those third-party certifications are so important, but they're also very daunting. There's so many different ones out there. There's not really like one standardized certification. So just kind of understanding a little bit more about what they mean and why they're important and what you should kind of focus on is really important. And then the other one is going to be about sustainability sells. That's Jay's panel. Candid conversation about meeting client demand, driving revenue, and doing the right thing. And I think that's kind of like been the through line through all of this is how, because obviously we are all still in business. We need to make money, but how can we do that in an ethical way that, is going to be good for the planet and good for people?
Yeah. Awesome. So we've got those panels, but Jay, what's the format? What are attendees going to experience over those 2 hours?
Yeah, so it is a virtual summit by design, obviously, so people can tune in. There's only registration so that we know who's there. And by the way, please, this is my plea, while we are 3 weeks out, go register. Tell your friends, don't tell your neighbors, tell your coworkers, to Teresa's earlier point about cooperation, it does take all of us. So if you're in a Facebook group, mention this. If you're in a mastermind or if you're at a place where there are multiple employees, this is for everybody. It's not just a business owner thing. It's not just a sales rep thing. So take the 2 hours. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fast paced. I mean, we know from experience, Terry, having done a few events, and if it drones on long, people just are like, okay, out. I got things to do. I got emails, right? I got orders to fulfill. I got things to ship and pack. But we wanted to have this be quick. And so the panels are each going to be about 20 minutes, and there'll be 3 to 4 of those panels. And that's where we'll have more interaction and more questions and answers and insights. So it won't just be one person speaking. And rather than have a long, kind of lengthy professorial keynote, we decided to have quick mini keynotes. And we'll probably have 4 or 5, maybe even 6 of these, where these little keynotes are quick, inspirational insights. And so think of it as quick keynotes, live panel discussions, sprinkled in with some real world case histories of things that are actually working, tactics and strategies to apply. And then we're also throughout the whole 2 hours having a chat driven interaction. Thank God that Cassie and Teresa have agreed to, while they're not on the panel, keep the conversation and going in the chat so that people can ask some questions either about that particular topic or something that's just, been bugging them. And so that idea sharing gets to be whipped around in a way. Of course, we're going to capture all that content and share it. So no time for sleep, no time for snoozing. This is not a snooze fest. This is for doers. This is for action-oriented people who actually care about merch. They actually care about their values and the meaning. And we're going to walk away with some fresh ideas, practical, pragmatic tools. And I hope personally that you attend this. Everybody go register right now. And you're going to walk away with 100 plus new friends that no longer feel like dysfunctional cousins, who feel the same way about you and your business, and that together will make a huge difference.
Yeah.
I love it.
Terry, do we feel like dysfunctional cousins, me and you? I don't know.
Well, when Jay said voted off the island, I was thinking, where do Misfit toys go if they're voted off the island? Is that the last stop, man?
That's
apparently to a desert in Chile, or
all right. Hey, speaking of promo, let's hear a word from our sponsor, Promo Hunt.
Yeah, let's do that. And while we're doing this, you guys go share. I just went and shared this in my group, in the Entrepreneur Success Hub group. But you guys go share the link. Eric's got it in the chat there for you guys. So go share that link real quick. And while they're doing that, Eric, can you share about Promo Hunt here, please?
If you sell decorated apparel, then you're constantly on supplier websites like Sanmar, Alpha Broder, and SNS Activewear, comparing prices and checking inventory. Stop wasting time comparing prices the hard way. Just install Promo Hunt's free browser extension. Then, when you're on a supplier website, Promo Hunt will automatically compare your prices with all your suppliers and will let you know if you can save. With Promo Hunt, you'll always be just one click away from seeing all your prices and inventory in one screen. Promo Hunt shows other helpful information too, like similar product ideas, supplier phone numbers, preferred pricing, and coupons on thousands of supplier websites. Promo Hunt saves you time and money, helping you quickly find and buy great products at competitive prices. The best part is that Promo Hunt is completely free. Join 7,000 decorators and distributors that use Promo Hunt every day to save time and money. Visit promohunt.com and sign up in less than 60 seconds.
Right? It's free.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Tony. And definitely you guys check that out. And then hopefully, do we need to take another quick break for everybody to go share the link again? Are we good? Okay. All right.
Share the link.
That's right. All right. So we've talked about the what, right? We've talked about some of the who, but you mentioned the keynotes, Jay. Who are we expecting to hear from in these? Which I love the idea of the keynote, right? Yeah, I don't need a 2-hour snooze fest. Let's get some inspiration. Let's hit impact right away. So who are we looking for here?
So each of these mini keynotes will come from some welcome voices and people that you know, and maybe some of you don't know, but they're all going to be less than 5 minutes. The target was to get into about 4-minute spot, and so that they can express, why it matters and the difference that they're making. And it's not a sales pitch. None of these keynotes are going to be a sales pitch, like buy my product. So rest assured it's worthy of your time. So Ryan Moore and Mel Lay are going to kick it off from Allmade. They've done an amazing job. They have just a tremendous journey. And this recent trip that they took to Honduras was very meaningful for me because I wanted to go on this trip really, really badly. But it was going to cross over with Peyton's graduation, and there was just too much going on. So I've made a promise to myself and to them already, as I did last year, no matter what, there are no more graduations for me. That was the last. So I'm going next year, and I can't wait. So Allmade Apparel, Gary Bell from US Just Cotton Protocol, somebody that I know Teresa and Cassie know well. That's kind of more on that certification side and the transparency side. So really cool there, a little bit more technical. Eric Henry from the CEO of TS Designs. Interesting fellow. I know, again, Teresa, you've talked to him and the processes they're using. They're a certified B Corp. So great to have people that are walking the walk here, right? So that's another one. And then some of you may not know Steven. Steven's from Germany. Steven Baumgartner. It's hard to say his name. He teases me when I say it, but he's the CEO of Cyber Group International and is wholly committed to this, probably 2 or 3 years ahead of us here in the US. So he has really got the practical advice, still running a business, still focused on profit, but also is very caring of his people and the planet. So those are just 4. We might have 2 more. I'm going to keep a few in my pocket as mystery guests and surprises. But
Nice.
as those folks step up, we've got 3 weeks here to kind of wrap these details together. And these keynotes are a big deal. They're kind of the anchor of the event. They're designed to be a little bit more inspirational, but also to give some practical direction. So people that have done things, that makes sense.
Yeah, makes total sense. All right, Teresa, definitely a lot of names because we've been sharing in the background here what's happening in the panels, and I recognize some of them, but who are we going to be able to chat with in these discussion panels?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like Jay said, there may be some more than I can share now, but just some of the highlights right now is Ben Grossman of Swag Cycle. He's also on my Promo for the Planet advisory board.
Cool.
So he's great, all about finding a new life and keeping things like merch out of landfills, which is really, I think, an important thing. Brianna, I don't actually know how to say her last name. Maisie.
Maisie.
Okay. from SRG. She's a sustainability person there. I've talked to her many times, but apparently I've never listened to her when she said her last name. Sorry. But she's
address her
awesome.
by both names.
She's awesome. She has is just really doing a lot and is a really great thought leader. I think I heard her speak at PPAI this year, and she just about greenwashing and how to avoid it. And she just has a great perspective to share. Some other people, Amy Baker of Threadbare Print House, Marshall Atkinson. Everybody knows Marshall. Gary Jones of Hohenstein, Ecotex. Joseph Summer of Whitestone. Michelle Dando of Facilis Group. We have like a ton. Robert Fiveash of Brand Fuel. So there's a lot of voices from like all over print and promo, and even beyond. So
yeah,
it'll be a great lineup.
Definitely going to be a great lineup. Yeah. Gary Jones do we know Gary Jones? Is this not the same Gary Jones from Print United? He didn't move.
No? I don't think all
right.
I don't know for sure. I couldn't tell you.
This list could be wrong.
No, you're fine. You're totally fine.
Teresa, that one I know specifically is.
Alliance.
Yeah, no, Cassie specifically has. This is the guy that the Hohenstein has the kind of the umbrella certification, the OECOTEX.
Okay. All right. Bad question. I just figured I'd throw it out there. Okay. All right.
Well, no. That could
be an awesome list.
To be determined.
To be determined. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know everybody on that list, but the ones I do know, I'm excited to hear. And well, obviously excited to hear about everybody. But we haven't asked this question yet. Our listeners are large shops, small shops. Who is this event geared to? Who should attend, Jay?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say I can answer that one. Well, listen, the summit is for anybody. So anyone who touches branded merch, apparel, print, or who wants to do it better, this is for them. And so I'm going to emphasize that. This is not just a top tier C-level event. This is not just a sales rep type event. This is for your entire community. So large shops, small shops, business owners, business leaders. If you think of yourself as a distributor or a decorator or a printer or a supplier, we have all these terms we call ourselves. Mm-hmm. But whatever you call yourself, if you're looking for a way to source more responsibly, talk to clients better about sustainability, or if you're trying to just build your reputation and do the right thing, this event, this is for you. This was built for you. This is your place. This is your space. There'll be less gatekeeping, more sharing. Nobody's here to give you a guilt trip. Nobody's going to finger wag at you. It's just real people sharing what's working now and how can we go forward together and do it better.
Yeah,
perfect. Teresa, do you have anything to add to that?
I think I just want to reiterate that it is all about collaboration. I know I've said that a million times, but I really think that's important to highlight. And this is just going to be a great opportunity to have these kind of impactful conversations and start sparking change in all of these converging industries.
Yeah. Yeah. And Teresa, I love that you talk about the fact that this is collaborative, right? It's not a show up and get preached at, show up. And like, I love Jay's comment of finger wagging, you're naughty, that kind of thing. It really is a collaboration. It really is about having conversations. So, in a lot of ways for this event to be even more successful than it's going to be, we do really need the attendees to show up and interact and ask questions and, so
share their stories too.
Yeah, 100%. There you go. So how do you envision that kind of working?
Well, I mean, I think, Cassie and I will be monitoring the chat, and hopefully we can kind of, raise up questions that need to be answered, but we can share our answers in the chat, and just sort of maybe even ask questions of people while it's happening. But I think that we can definitely just keep that conversation going on the chat as everything's happening.
Yeah, agreed. And I'll throw my name into the hat there, right? So we'll be kind of doing things behind the scene, but I want to be in the chat, and we've got the calendar blocked out, and so I think there'll be plenty of opportunity to interact while the discussions are going on, while we're listening to the keynotes and things like that. And so I think we really want that, right? I think sometimes we stop and go, I just have to
forward event, not lean back.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. We're going to leave it at that. Mic drop. Terry, what do you actually got?
Here at Two Regular Guys, you're our regular marketing and branding guy. So give us the details. Make that final pitch to attend this summit.
Well, first of all, let me say thank you, and I'm so glad, Aaron, that you reminded us that you are also involved. You both will be helpful in doing some introductions. We're using your platform, and that you'll be available in the chat as well. And I want to add to this because I think you, Aaron, for sure, Cassie, and Teresa, you guys are all really, and Terry, a little bit. You guys are all really great connectors. Like, so this is the opportunity to kind of connect this together, and so that's why I love it when Teresa says, cooperation and collaboration. But okay, so if it's up to me, if we want to change the industry, we're going to have a conversation. Conversations about what's happened. We're not going to over focus on the past. We want to, like Teresa just said, we're moving forward. We're leaning forward. We want to emphasize why this all matters. So this Sustainability Merch Summit is not just another boring webinar. This truly is a movement. It truly is a rally cry. We're going to try to bring all of these voices, values, and visionaries together. We're doing this on purpose. We're pushing away from the status quo, and we want to redefine this. We want to really move away from buzzwords and say, here's how together we're going to grow. Here's how together the world of branded merch, print, promo, and apparel is going to be considered. Because listen, I'll just say it this way. If we don't fix this shit now, it's going to crush us. We won't have this great industry that we all love so much. We will be the scapegoat. We will be the target. Legislation will bring us down. We need to be proactive. We need to lead in this space, not be a lagging contributor. So that's what I hope we gain from this energy and this momentum. And so for the marketers, for the makers, for all the merch nerds that are out there that want to do this better, get involved. Let's do this. Let's not just say we're going to do something small. Let's think bigger and let's push forward, because you're going to hear real stories that are compelling, insightful, inspirational, practical strategies, tactical moves to make. Yes, we're going to be in a fast-paced environment, but this isn't one and done either. We want to continue on, and that these conversations and collaboration continue. So it's full of the right kinds of people. It's full of the right kinds of examples, things you can actually put into practice and be inspired by. And I wasn't kidding you when I said a 7-figure receipt. This can be as big as you want it to be. If you're hungry for those sales, they're out there. So it's an opportunity for us to be honest, look inward, but then look forward. And so I'll close with kind of this. This is where I've rested in this quote. Is that this is my quote. This is me saying this. If everything we do ends up in the trash, it wasn't sustainable to begin with. So at least let's know and agree that the most impactful branded merch is the kind that people actually want, will keep, and will use. So if we just start there and level set there, then guess what? We can stay relevant. We can build trust. We can tell a better story. We can find those certifications. And we can create merch that matters. And so that's why I'm so passionate about this conference, this summit, surrounding myself with these winners. Teresa Hagel, oh my God. Cassie Green, oh my God. Aaron and Terry, please. Eric behind the mic and moving needles. I don't even know what he's doing back there. He's like seriously Oz.
It's probably
but
digital.
This event, is it digital now? I thought he was pushing buttons and cranking levers and spinning dials and smoke and stuff, steam. But listen, this is a free event. We made it purposely free so that anyone could attend, and there's no excuse. It's virtual. It's happening. It's June 10th. We're like 3 weeks away. So let's show this industry that we care, and let's focus in on why this matters.
Yeah. Wow. So good. And when you were talking, Jay, you talked about the fact that this needs to be a connection piece, right? We need people that are willing to talk about this subject deeply, bringing solutions to the table, and how that's very impactful. So we haven't talked about this. You guys can veto it later, but I'd like to bring Two Regular Guys part of this. I'm a facilitator at heart, right? That's my role and purpose on this green earth here. I'm going to build a spreadsheet, right? If you want to be part of this conversation, we want the attendees, the people that are on the panels and stuff like that. Let's put a spreadsheet of our contact details together, and we'll share that with those people that want to be on that. And we'll do that through kind of the Two Regular Guys arm here. And anyhow, just an idea that came up as you were talking there, Jay.
Yeah. Inspired. Do it. Let's go. Let's go. Put my name down.
Perfect. All right. I want to ask another question in closing here. We're kind of getting down towards the end, but this is so important. And Jay, I very much was like you were, right? We're like, okay, great, sounds good. That's somebody else's problem. I think that's kind of the way you addressed it, and I'm
Pretty
like,
much,
I
pretty much.
see myself in that too, right? So as we've crossed the road and we see the reality of this, what would you guys say to someone who's still kind of seeing sustainability as this kind of nice to have instead of a need to have, going, okay, this all sounds well and good, but it's not for me? Teresa, I'm going to actually start with you on this question, and then we'll throw it over to Jay.
Okay. Well, I think, it kind of goes back to a lot of what we've already been saying, but one thing to consider is that a lot of, if you're, in the merch industry, a lot of the big clients, they are requiring sustainability. They want the metrics, they want the data. If you can't tell them what like the carbon footprint of, this notebook is, they might not do business with you. So in that sense, it's a need to have. I mean, there are regulations, especially in like Europe, maybe not so much in the United States, but there's always the looming possibility of kind of regulations that are going to force you to do this. So why wouldn't you just start now so that you're not kind of scrambling to kind of get to the point where other people have had the chance for years to refine their sustainable processes and be able to do these reporting requirements that you might have to do at some point anyway. And I mean, beyond it just being kind of the right thing to do, as we've also talked about, the younger generations, they really care about this stuff and they expect it. It's not, to them, it's not a nice to have. If you don't have it, they're like, why wouldn't you do this? What's wrong with your company? You know what I mean? Like, to them, it is the expectation, not an extra. So, I mean, we really, you need to just kind of like level set and be where they are, because they're coming into workplaces now, and that's what they're going to be expecting and requiring.
Yeah, amazing. Jay, your take, right? And being somebody like me that was on the, I don't know, wrong side of the track's probably not the right word, but we're going to go with that. What do you say to people like that?
I think just remember that it requires change. This is change. This is disruption. You've been through disruption before. You ran a business before the internet, some of you, and now you can't live without it. So I think of it like, think of it not just as a tool. Think of it as a utility. Like, for example, it's not just another tool. It's not just another tool in the toolbox. It's like electricity. It's like heat. It's like, when I say utility, it's like you have to have this, because the walls will close in and they will close you out. So that's kind of why I'm saying it's a rally cry, because, Teresa said it so well, it's not an extra, it's an expectation. Yeah. And I think our industry matters. We are so grateful. I'm so grateful that I've been able to play on this island of misfit toys for more than 30 years. I don't want to admit that, but that's the truth. And I mean, it's fed my family. It's how I paid for my cars and my kids' education and this house I live in. And, so to me, this is a way to make sure our industries continue on in a vibrant way, that they become themselves sustainable, that we're not an afterthought. It drives me crazy when people think advertising is this big, cool thing, and they don't even think about branded merch or apparel or print. We need to demand a seat at the table. And we need to show people that this is more effective. This is more meaningful. This is more emotional. And so I believe that events like this are going to be key. We'll hopefully look back, next year. And I want this to be more than just a one and done. So I hope we have 2026, 2027, let's get big. Let's stay relevant. Let's build the trust, tell the stories, and
for sure,
join us. Why it matters. The Sustainable Merch Summit, June 10th.
June 10th. All right. Got a question from one of the regulators here, Ramona McKee. And I think this is very relevant, right? If you're thinking about yourself as a small business, and again, that was my place, right? I was small business, like, okay, great. That's for the big guys, right? So she says, everything I'm hearing sounds like big business. What about a small home-based businesses under 5,000 a month in sales? Ramona says, I don't want the 7-figure income. I like being small. How can I talk sustainability? And I know we'll touch on this on June 10th. So Ramona, the real answer is show up on June 10th, but give us a highlight. Jay, I'll start with you on this.
Yeah, no, great question. It's right. She's right. I appreciate that transparency 100%.
100,
You're
yep.
not wrong for asking that, and it's okay. And this is, this is the right place to ask. And today, I'm glad we get to address this. I would say you how you define success and how you measure success doesn't need to be seven figures. It doesn't have to have a lot of commas. Maybe it only has one comma, and that's cool. But your own who you sell to, it's going to impact those folks too. And also, you have the opportunity to flip the script. You're not going to do it because of a future seven-figure sale, but to do it because it's the right thing to do it because it can lead to more $5,000 sales. And eventually, you're going to find out that if you don't start addressing this proactively, that those $5,000 sales are fewer and farther between because other people are addressing this, taking it on, being proactive about it, and incorporating it into their story and leading with it and being able to say, hey, these t-shirts are better than those t-shirts. And here's why. They're made from here. They're without these chemicals. They are ethically sourced. They are environmentally friendly. They are using less resources. They are made by people at a living wage. And you care about that, right? And so it can be, it's a story for all of us, irrelevant of the size. So I'm really glad that you kind of squared me up there because I don't want this to be, I'm not just hyping this for seven-figure deals. And by the way, that's the top 1%. So 99% of us are not in that space. The majority of us are not in that space. 80%, Teresa, correct me if I'm wrong, 80% of people in the promo world are probably doing less than $1 million in sales total annually and have fewer than 3 employees. So
I don't actually know the stats on that, but that doesn't sound wrong necessarily.
Yeah.
But I would also just add that as a smaller business, you kind of have a unique ability to be very nimble. You don't have like kind of like entrenched policies. I think it would actually be easier for you to pivot and change and kind of embrace sustainability because if it's just you, like you make that decision, and you can kind of take advantage of all of the resources that suppliers have to tell these great stories and share these great products. But you don't have to kind of change a whole bunch of employees' minds or change, these policies at this broader level. You can just kind of, you can change you can change your business and your practices on your own. So in a way, it may be actually easier to embrace sustainability as like a one-person operation.
That's perfect. Yeah, I love that idea. I mean, I think about it, right? Like if it's not just what Jay was talking about too, it like, yeah, it doesn't matter what the dollars are. It's the right thing to do. And Teresa's point there, right? We can make that change on our own without a lot of friction or red tape or, all that stuff. But I think also from a business perspective, one of the biggest challenges that I know small businesses face because I asked them, and over 85% of the small businesses I've talked to have said that pricing and charging what they're worth is one of their biggest challenges. And I think part of the issue there is that they're concerned about price. But when they are concerned about something bigger than the dollar, i.e. sustainability, things like that, the price conversation goes out the window because our conversation is now about sustainability. And then the customer goes, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I want to be part of that too. Yes, please sign me up. I'll take that order.
Correct,
and
correct.
Oh, by the way, how much is it? Right.
Right.
I think that's the sales conversations we want to be having where price is the last thing that we talk about.
And we'd much rather be on the proactive side of this because it doesn't, a coach, a PTA mom, a school district, it's going to knock on your door. So if you're not prepared, what happens is you look unprepared. And so you end up not having that trust. And so even if it's a $5,000 order or a $500 order, there will be people, coaches, moms, students, team builders that are going to care about this. And when you can lead with this, you're going to be in the forefront. It's like use it now so that it's not forced upon you later.
Yeah, I love that idea. All right, cool. All right. I knew we could go on and on and on. Jerry, how do we wrap this up?
Yeah, hey, thanks to both of you for coming on today. We will see you in a few weeks, but tell our listeners how they can reach out to each of you. Teresa, we'll start with you.
Well, you can reach me by email, thegelthegel@asicentral.com. Also, I would encourage you to go to our sustainability hub, promofortheplanet.com. That's where I kind of post all of the sustainability related content and stories. And then I'm on Instagram at Teresa_Hegel_ASI. And then I'm also on LinkedIn under my name. So those are probably the places that I'm most active.
Awesome. Hey, Jay, besides telling us how to get a hold of you for our podcast listeners, where do they go to register?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So please go to the brandedmerchnetwork.com, just as it's spelled, brandedmerchnetwork.com. And right on the homepage, you'll see a blue button at the top that says Why It Matters Live Sustainable Merch Summit. Click on that button and it'll walk you right through the registration. It's super easy. You're going to see a big Why It Matters Live with a blue sweatshirt and the sustainability merch. And then you can RSVP on that. So it's brandedmerchnetwork.com / sustainable merch summit. But if you just go to the homepage, you'll be able to find it. It's pretty simple. If you have any questions, you can email me at j@brandedmerchnetwork.com, or same as Teresa, reach out to me on Instagram or LinkedIn. Those are the two places where I like to jam the most.
Cool. Awesome. All right. I have one last technical question for those that can't be there live with us on the 10th. Is this recorded?
Wonderful question. We have not crossed that bridge yet.
Okay. So I guess what I would suggest is RSVP and then let us know, and we'll figure out where we go from there.
We need to consult with our technical team on that. So
from a technical standpoint, it can be done. So I'll leave that with you.
Okay. The probability is high that that's the case, but RSVP, please, and tell somebody, tell your team, share this in Facebook, share this today, take a step forward, find a friend, find somebody else that's scared and nervous and doesn't know what to do, and together you guys will be just fine.
Awesome. Love it. Well, as Ramona said here, thank you both for being here today. What a wonderful conversation, and looking forward to June 10th with you guys.
I love the fact that you gave a shout out to Crafty Scotty, by the way, Aaron. I just want to say that was a super cool dad move. And the fact that you brought up my daughter Peyton and that she graduated. So this will forever be like a big deal to me. So thank you.
It's not just dad jokes. There's dad moves happening here too.
That's right. Occasionally it's not a dad joke.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Have a great day. Awesome. All right. Terry, what a great conversation.
Tremendous.
I know you've been really
excited about this.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you've been really active. I've been having so many different things going on that I haven't been as actively engaged in this yet. But after meeting with Jay on Thursday and talking with you, boy, good stuff coming here. We're really excited to be part of this, and we will do our best to share as much as we can. But you guys, as the regulators, we're counting on you to get out there and get the word out. So as Jay said, share it with everybody early and often, I think, is how that goes. So
exactly. All right.
Cool. Well, what's coming up for you here, Terry?
Well, I am going to be doing my complete screen printing business course. I'm going to be in Chicago the weekend before the summit. I'm going to be there June 7th and 8th at Atlas Screen Supply. I spoke to them yesterday. They still have a couple of spots left. So if you'd like to come to the screen printing class, go to atlasscreensupply.com and watch for all of my upcoming events at terrycombs.com. How about you, Aaron?
For me, I'm on the move again. So I'm loving what I get to be doing with the guys over at American Print and Supply. But that makes me a road warrior again, and I'm kind of excited about it. I'm not sure how much. I think in a lot of ways my wife is too. She gets me out of the house a little more often. But so next thing for me is I'll be traveling to DAX Chicago, and they have moved it to Schaumburg. It moved out of Tinley Park and into Schaumburg this year. So on May 30th, I'm going to be teaching there. The class on the 30th is called Fast Track Your Success, Half the Time to Achieve Your Goals. And that's going to be happening at 2 p.m. I want to break down for folks the steps from going from a goal setter, which I think we all are, here's what I want to do, to actually being a goal getter, somebody that achieves their goals. So that'll be on the 30th. And then the next day on the 31st at DAX Chicago, I'm going to be teaching how to master pricing for profit. And that session is happening at 12:30 p.m. And it's for anyone who's ready to turn pricing from a dreaded task into an empowering tool. And then, as I mentioned, getting to be on the road with the American Print Supply guys, I will be in booth with them, booth 320. Actually have a small 20-minute presentation that I'll be doing regularly there from the show floor, called 7 Smart Ways to Print More Profit into Your Business. And so you guys might see the correlation with the secret sauce there to give you a little sneak preview. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Just stop by the booth for free education, come by and say hello. And then the next upcoming in-person education session for me beyond DAX Chicago is at the Graphics Pro Expo in Indianapolis. And that's happening right after the Sustainability Summit on June 13th. I will be kicking off bright and early in the morning, so bring your coffee, and we're going to be packing this session with practical tips to help you find clarity in your message. It's called Marketing Better in 2025. We know it's a noisy world out there, so how do we connect with our ideal customers? And it's a lot different than you think. It's not going to be all about strategy, but more about how do you find what's right for you and then build a strategy for that. So we will talk strategy, just coming at it from a different angle. So if you'll go to graphics-pro-expo.com, you can register and for the expo and the class is free, but registration for the expo is not. But if you want to get 50% off, you can use the code APAS25IN to get in there. And then I want to share one more time with the regulators a opportunity to save on your DTF transfers. And so if you're looking for a transfer venue, my new role has created this opportunity where I get to share discounts with you guys over at transferdepot.com. If you'll use the code AMONTGO2025 at checkout, mouthful, but you'll figure it out. If you need help, just reach out to me. I'll make sure that you've got all that. I've been loving the transfers. They've got the extended gamut transfers, which I don't know how much you've seen those, Terry, but some of the colors on those things are incredible. There's a cat transfer that we've been doing at shows and stuff like that. And I actually have one that I wear around the house here, but fast shipping, great quality. And you can also get UV, DTF stickers, decals, whatever you want to call them. So if you have any questions about that, I am here for you. So that's what I've got going on. Doug says, I always get ideas from you guys, so we appreciate Doug popping in. Mr. Quinn, appreciate you. All right, well, Eric has got, I can share, I'll just stay in practice here, Terry.
Okay.
If that's okay. So Eric this afternoon, he's got the Take Up episode 225, 5 things, and we're going to use air quotes here, experienced embroiderers and digitizers need to do. So in the episode, he's going to review some of his tips originally for new embroiderers and digitizers and point out what he thinks embroiderers and digitizers with some experience under their collective belts should do, not only to stay fresh in their own practices, but to be good stewards of the industry and good mentors for those who are just entering the industry. So if that's definitely an important session that you guys in the embroidery world want to make sure you're checking out, head over to ericcampbell.com and you can join him at 2:30 Mountain Time, 4:30 Eastern Time. Eric's going to have to get used to saying Eastern Time here pretty soon, more often, but 4:30 Eastern Time, and just join the discussion. Eric is so good at bringing these really deep, really impactful, detailed information to you guys on the Take Up each week for free. It's an amazing service he does for the industry, but he needs you guys to be there and be engaged. And so share it with your friends. Again, head to ericcampbell.com and click the Take Up tab at the top to find more episodes and review all of those. So There we go. I think I did it. I got it.
Okay. We're almost to the end of the show, but we need a little secret sauce.
We do. We do need some sauce. Well, let's do it. Let's dive right in. All right, you guys, welcome to today's secret sauce. I want to cook up something tasty and dig into the recipe for boosting your bottom line. I want to give you some quick ideas that you can implement today that will help you print more profit without working more hours or lowering your prices. In fact, we want to raise your prices or raise your perceived value. And so the first way to do that is to change the way you sell and talk about your products and services. I think sometimes we forget that customers buy identity, emotion, experiences. So you're not just selling the shirt, the mug, the uniform. You're selling things like confidence, like connection, like pride. And so when you frame your products as the outcomes your customers want, you actually instantly increase the perceived value. See, because as garment decorators, we have a passion for the shirts, the creativity, the tools, the toys. We love that. But in our selling and marketing, we just naturally assume a lot of times that our ideal customers have those same passions, right? We want to share that passion. But the reality is our customers don't have that same passion. And that's a good thing, right? If they did, they wouldn't be your ideal customer. They'd be a competitor. So your bottom line will change drastically when you change the conversation to the outcomes your customers want and what they're passionate about. So you're immediately increasing your perceived value, and your customers are willing to pay more when you're talking about their passions. So let me give you a quick fix here. Head off right away here and update one product listing or social media post this week to focus on the why behind the products. What is it that helps the customers express themselves? What is it that you do that helps your customers celebrate themselves? What is it that you do to help your customers solve their problems? That's the why behind what you do. And if you go change that, there's one quick fix. The next way that you can build more profits and print more profits is making sure that you are investing your time and money wisely, right? Yes, your business needs to grow and expand, but it's crucial where you invest your precious resources. We can't get any of the 24 hours that we have allotted a day back, right? And I don't know anybody that has an unlimited budget right now that I've been able to talk to. As someone who now does actually have a horse in the race when it comes to equipment, and it's not just Terry who's going to be mad at me for saying this, but we don't need all of the shiny objects and expensive machines that are available to us right away. Yikes. Okay. I'm surprised that Terry didn't somehow figure out how to turn me off right there, but he knows this too. And so I'm totally joking and it's just a joke. But in the 25 years that I've been in this industry, I've just seen too many businesses invest in all of the toys and then end up being so buried in debt and not having any time to master any of them. They struggle to keep making the payments. And unfortunately, too many of them end up going out of business. Growth doesn't always mean buying new equipment. We need to start looking for tools or services that let us scale, offer more, and then automate what you're already doing. So like the previous one, I want to give you a quick fix here. Just last week, we had Zach from Deco Network on to talk about outsourcing. The fix is to keep the money in your pocket and let your business invest in your future toys. Is you need to have a rental mindset, right? Ask yourself, can I outsource or partner first? So for example, the company I'm working with, American Print and Supply, we just talked about DTF equipment. And we also have transferdepot.com where you can buy the transfers before you buy the equipment. And it's also a great print protection resource for the existing customers. By outsourcing to a trusted supplier, and I'm not making a sales pitch here, anybody that you're outsourcing to that you trust, you can use that rental period to gauge demand. You can also use that rental period to build pricing and sales systems, to create samples and marketing content, and ultimately to track profit per job and set up that system. And then once it starts selling consistently and profitably, then you let that market buy the new toy that you need, the new piece of equipment, right? This mindset keeps you from drowning in debt and regret, but it does require that honest assessment of, okay, do I really need this thing? Or is there a better way, a rental mindset I can take? So there's your quick fix there. And then lastly here, I want you to look for ways to simplify the buying process for your ideal customers. What's important to them and what will make purchasing from you easier for them? See, confused customers, they don't buy. So if your pricing, your product options, or your process is unclear, you're creating hesitation, and hesitation is going to kill sales. So my suggestion is to start by evaluating your customer-facing order process from the perspective of how we humans make purchasing decisions. It's all based on emotions, not logic. So even those of us that say, I'm really logical, like I used to pretend like I was that, even the most logical among us, we don't make purchasing decisions based on logic. The decision to make the purchase is emotional, and then we utilize logic after the fact to justify the purchase, right? The emotion-based buying process also helps us understand that our human survival instinct directs us to spend till it hurts. We have money to spend and we want an emotional need filled. Ever heard of the phrase, money burning a hole in your pocket? It actually refers to our human nature of exchanging resources and the dopamine hit we get from purchasing something. The limit of spending till it hurts is when perceived pain is greater than perceived gain. So, for example, if your ordering process creates confusion, doubt, or hesitation, it triggers the brain's survival response of don't buy. That's too painful. We naturally avoid risks, so unclear pricing, too many choices, or lack of clarity feels like pain. Therefore, to increase our bottom line, we need to simplify or reduce pain points or friction to make the customer's experience of doing business with us easier, faster, and more enjoyable. So here's the quick fix for you. Instead of throwing the supplier catalog at your ideal customer, use your expertise and knowledge of their needs to create an easy-to-order bundle. So instead of offering 30 shirts and styles and 100 color choices, create simple bundles. Maybe you work with businesses and they need to outfit their staff for events and trade shows. Offer them 3 tiers of options for each employee. So maybe the top tier is like a week's worth of decorated polos, plus 2 dress shirts with subtle branding on it, a phone case, a water bottle, business cards, and pens. And then you step down another couple of packages from there. And now you've got 3 options. It makes it very simple and easy and direct for them to say, yeah, I want that. Now, another quick bonus for you here is name your product tiers by outcome, not price, right? Sometimes we go good, better, best. But what if you said, try the top one being dress to impress, the outcome, they want to dress to impress, the middle one being brand ambassador, and the smaller one being quick turnaround because you can get that done quickly and maybe they got a trade show in 2 days from now or something, right? So ultimately, though, that naming shifts focus away from price and towards what the customers want. So there's 3 quick thoughts on some ways that we can print more profit. I'm actually working on a full blog that's coming soon. So ultimately, when you start thinking about profit as a strategy, not just a result, you print more profits. So that's your secret sauce for today. If you want more smart ways to grow, the first notice on that upcoming blog, plus some follow-up videos and really just great conversations, I'd invite you to join us in our Facebook group at osg.link/group. I hope you guys enjoyed that delicious sauce.
All right. I love it. Make it easy to buy.
Make it easy to buy. All right. I'm out of words, Terry. So that's amazing. It happened. Thank you, everybody. What a great show. Thanks to Jay and Teresa for joining us today. Make sure that you go get signed up for the summit. We're working on it, but just sign up. Even if you can't join live, we'll figure something out. So, but you got RSVP. So brandedmerchnetwork.com, I believe, is the link there. And Eric is probably going to take care of that for us, I would assume. So speaking of Eric, Terry.
Yeah, we thank our show producer, Eric Campbell, for turning the dials and, as Jay said, splicing the tape and doing all those things. And so, Eric, go back to the kitchen and start packing up those dishes again.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, Terry, next week we've got Lon Riley going to be joining us to talk about UV printing and digital print and workflow. So excited to have him with us and really looking forward to that conversation, Terry.
Absolutely. Until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And that was the 2 regular guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of 2 Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Two Regular Guys.